great pleasure to introduce our first performer, speaker, fighter, Omowale Adewale. If you're friendly, you can call him Wale for short. He is a vegan champion boxer, MMA fighter, track and field collegiate gold medalist, and accomplished bodybuilder. He's a USA boxing coach and trainer with CPR and AED certification. He is also a personal trainer who offers plant-based nutritional information to his clients. Please welcome Omowale.
All right, we already know each other now. All right, okay, we'll talk. So let's set things off, give you a clear understanding in terms of what I do. So some of the things that I do, that's in my bio, is I work with kids. One of the first kids I work with, this is my daughter, Rain. So she'll be helping me out. She is a typical teen. Helping me out. These are my babies right here at the bottom. And so I've been doing more and more MMA stuff, right? Many people watch MMA. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to get into that. And how many people, don't like it? I get that. No, I mean, MMA, she asked, is mixed martial arts. Okay? So a lot of people ask that question, so people probably like, everybody should do that. It's not as big as it is with boxing. So I'm going to go through a bunch of different things, and hopefully I'm going to leave some time for questions. Well, actually, I definitely got to leave time for questions, and hear what you have to say. So this is me. I'm pretty much just like an average person who's a vegan, and I just became vegan last year in April, right? So I've been vegetarian for about 20 years, and someone asked, why are you not vegan? And I thought to myself, why am I not vegan? Like, I don't eat dairy or eggs, have you tasted the food with no eggs and dairy? It's delicious, right? Right? You guys have to say that, like, see, the idea is, yes, right. Like, people generally think that a lot of people who come to the Veg Fest are vegan or vegetarian. Half of them are not. Okay, so it's very important when you're here, you're doing the job too, just as much as I'm doing the job, to kind of give people better options. So some enthusiasm definitely drive it home, especially some of you guys who are advocates yourselves and activists and been doing this for a long time. So it's very important. I've been to Asia and talked about being vegan, Europe, different places around the world and around this country. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people most people who come to the Veg Fest are looking to understand and learn more about being vegan or just being part of that veg world. Okay, so it's very important that we give him real clear testimony. All right, so let's move forward. All right, so a lot of my work is also working with a lot of kids who consider underprivileged. So I developed a program in 2005, and it was, this just has a mind of its own. So the kids that I work with, a bunch of different populations, but one of the special populations that I work with are kids who might have been arrested for things that, in New York City, you can be arrested for anything. I mean, people who've been in New York City, they know. You've been in school for things they used to call your parents, right? If you have a little quick thing, with a kid. Now it's like they're calling the cops. Cops are in the school. So kids might be even arrested for trespassing. Going to a building they don't live, but they have a friend or a relative there. You'll be arrested for that. And people, think that's crazy, but you'll be amazed. I think it was ACLU, at least the one in New York City, put out a paper some years ago, about 5 years ago, and detailing that trespassing and all these minor things were like 70% of the rest of the kids. I was like, you gotta be crazy. So they're really trying to pack prisons, right? So anyway, in 2005, this is going on way before me, but in 2005, I did a fellowship preventing violence against kids, and basically, my understanding was that, violence was getting kids indoctrinated, for prison, in jails, arresting them for these small things. So what I did was I used a bunch of different things, and I started incorporating boxing, okay? Vegan lifestyle. People heard that, veganism really helps, kind of calm you, right? And makes you more compassionate. Doesn't work out that much when you're in a fight game, though. Kind of works out to your disadvantage, especially with MMA. But seriously, it's very helpful for kids just to help them understand in this world that we live in, that it can be very brutal, and in order to make money, a lot of times it's balanced on their backs. When you're incarcerated, you're essentially, more money for some, for police departments, law enforcement, or anyone who's doing private prison. So it's very important. I wanted to share that piece with you. So that's some of the reasons why I do this work. Some of these kids in here for very minor things you wouldn't believe. So now when I get them, I get to basically, educate them with what I know. And one of them is, veganism. So anybody make any meals out of beans? Right, awesome. Hands go up crazy. Nuts and seeds, and we'll get into some more of that. This is my daughter right here. So I try to do a lot of farming. That's Ray right there. That's you. So this is, what was this, 5 years ago? Something like that. It's like, you don't know. See, typical teenager. I don't know, you told me. And I think we have here, right, that is chard. Okay, so, we're growing some chard, and this is upstate New York. So we go out to an organization I work with. You might be familiar with Malcolm X Grassroots Movement. And one of the committees is the Food Justice Committee. So I'm in the Food Justice Committee, and what we do is we'll go out to Massachusetts, we'll go out to Vermont, we'll go upstate New York. Why? Because New York City doesn't have farms. We have to go outside, but that's still considered local to us, and we're not going all over the place, right? So we want to be able to grow food, we want to have that connection, but we still want farmers to be able to thrive, right? And New York City has a huge population, and they have needs, and then, so farmers are able to still make a living selling to New Yorkers. They have more consumers, and we have more good food, grown locally, non-GMO, great stuff, right? Make sense? Okay. So I want to put all that together. When you folks are vegan, we're always there is a step process, right? There's different levels. We start, getting healthier and healthier and thinking more and more, about the environment, and of course, being more compassionate, I think when I became vegan, the main thing was, what was I doing, to animals, I think in terms of dairy, in terms of eggs. So that was the main reason. When I went vegetarian, I was thinking about being healthy. I had a conversation, I was like, yeah, I do want to be healthier. Yeah, drop this stuff. And came vegetarian when I was about 15, and then became vegan, last year. I'm 36 now. So there's a transition. I didn't have enough help. And that's why it took so long. That's that disconnect. They didn't have these veg fests, when I was 15. It's like 21 years ago. They just didn't have those, right? How many people have been vegan for that long? 20 years. They didn't have all this. I could came right to you guys. Come downstage. Right, exactly. So, but one of the main things that people know that I'm a fighter and I'm an athlete, and they just limit me to that. And I said, okay, no problem. And a lot of fighters ask me all the time, where do you get your protein? That question that we love to hear so much, right? So I'm trying to tell them all the time, you know, like protein is literally everywhere. Just trip over food. Just walk in. First thing you see, turn around. You know, close your eyes and there you go, protein. So greens, right? So we'll go through a bunch of these and the alternative meats, and anytime you see the asterisks, those are superfoods, okay? There's my daughter right there. She was smiling, look at her, she wasn't a teen. Holding up chart and smiling. Get yourself. All right, greens. So, I love spinach, you know, I mean, and I don't really think I needed a cartoon, you know, to make me really love spinach. It helped. It helped a little bit, you know. I don't know, I did something with this where it's just going by itself. But, so spinach, mustard greens, was had that spicy flavor, you know. Folks, what's a recipe that, you know, folks may use, you know, let's say collard greens, rainbow chard? What's a recipe? What do you guys use? What's a meal?
Greens.
Beans and greens.
Yeah.
Simple things. Again, somebody, you guys should be flowing with things.
Start with some garlic and vinegar and cast iron skillet.
That's right. It's easy stuff. Like just easy stuff. Just I put stuff together all the time. Just, you know, it's not. I'm not a chef. I'm not like a super cook. I put some stuff on Instagram and Facebook, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, you're incredible! Put these recipes out there together. You need to do a book." Like, oh my goodness, I just couldn't get in my kitchen. You know, and Kel's very popular. So this is in the backyard. This is my other daughter right here. This is not Rain. This is Aziza, and she's over here watering the garden. You know. So grains, I love that sweet brown rice, Frika, that has a huge amount of protein. Are you familiar with Frika? So I learned about it just about 2 years ago, and I was like, wow, there's so much protein. It's crazy. Sorry, that's gonna keep happening. Quinoa, which people sometimes call quinoa. Don't beat people over the head. You know, I'm pretty sure I said quinoa one time. I had to. I'm like, it looks like quinoa. Yeah. So Frika is right up here. Yeah. That big grain. Right, it looks like rice. Right, yes. Yes, sir. And hemp, I really love hemp. I mean, and this is, I just added these in here. Actually, every single picture is a homemade pic. Like, even these right here, it looks like it's professional, right? Look at that. Like, that's crazy. Like, somebody put that thing and took a picture. No, I just did that in the kitchen. It was real simple. And so, this is French toast and pancakes. People are always very, very shocked. You know, how do you do that? You know, this is what you can do with grains. You know? All right. So, no dairy, no eggs, of course. Legumes. All right. So I like to say that split peas, if say you're in a hurry, do split peas, do lentils. Okay? Why? Huh? They're quick, right? And thin, they're so thin and they're packed. And like lentils, incredibly packed. Actually, I'm gonna do a comparison a little later on with meat. And the lentils, I mean, you got French lentils, you got red lentils, you got black, there's green lentils. I mean, there's so many different, you know, lentils. I mean, I love them. Azuki beans, and people not familiar with azuki beans, these right here, you can make burgers out of them as well. This is a meal, a homemade meal. That's some, also with sweet potatoes, but it has a lot of lentils in it. You can't really tell too much, right? It's the lightest. Mung beans, people familiar with mung beans? So I don't have a picture of mung beans on there, but it's the Southeast Asian, where you can usually find mung beans. But you can also, I mean, you can grow them as well. Some people very in touch with the environment and being local might say you shouldn't do that. But the reason why you shouldn't do that is you move one crop to another part of the area, and all of a sudden, you know, just you should be eating locally. I love mung beans. So if you didn't get that, it's just I love mung beans. So black beans, incredible amounts of protein as well. Chickpeas, not so much, but they're so versatile, right? So yeah, right, you can make hummus. You can even make, make breads as well with chickpeas. It's incredible. Edamame. Edamame. It's a soybean. That's actually, I thought I had a plant of it. I think it's growing it. Where is it? It's not there. Where is my plant? I must have taken it out. All right. So I actually grew edamame. I was so happy. I couldn't believe it. I think it was 2012, and I actually grew it. So it wasn't that hard to grow. All right. So moving forward. So nuts and seeds. People know what we use cashews for, right? Cheesecake. See that cheesecake up there? Somebody made me a cheesecake. It was chocolate chip cheesecake. I was like, what? It was so good. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It was incredible. I mean, there's so much you can do with cashews. There's so much you can do with, all the different nuts. I love pistachios as well. I think people usually use cashews for like cashew cream cheese or any type of cheesecake because the taste is not overbearing. Well, you can probably use any nuts. You could use peanuts as well, but people would say it's very fattening, right? That's one of the things, we'll talk about that, a little bit. People have questions in terms of, fats. But I really take that into account when I'm working out because the fight game, more than any other sport, you need fats. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I think with peanuts would have that overbearing taste, but I still want to do it because I wanted to act like a chemist in the kitchen. How do I cut that taste? It's not so overbearing, but I don't have that overbearing price of cashews versus peanuts. You know what I mean? So, takes you right out of the price game. So these so-called alternative meats, the reason why I call them so-called alternative meats because people are like, oh my God, they're fake meats and such and such. Tempeh's been around longer than hamburgers. What are you talking about? So that's important to know. Very important to know. Some of the stuff, I don't have no problem. People call them, fake meats. I'm gonna eat them. They're good to me. Good luck. But these are the different options, that you have. Seitan, that's from grains, that's wheat gluten. So people who are allergic to wheat gluten know they're allergic to wheat gluten. Not just, they're gluten-free, just to be gluten-free. I have these arguments with people all the time. Raise your hands if you have arguments for gluten-free. But gluten-free is not necessarily tied to, veganism. But of course, when you understand, when you become vegan, you tend to be more aware, more knowledgeable about your own health, right? And so you really want to go out and find out. So, I can be objective. I love my wheat, but I can definitely understand people being, gluten-free. There can be problems, there can be problems if you're allergic to it. Same reason why people have almond milk. Yet, some people are allergic to almonds. You see that? It's not, don't vilify it. You know what I mean? Don't vilify it, you're just allergic to it. All right? It still don't work for your body. So know what works for your body. That's always important. As a personal trainer, I always tell people, listen, you're going to be able to know your body better than I can. Better than, a doctor can. So you know your body, know what works for you. All right? So, very important. Another thing I want to talk, brief pause here, discuss soy, okay? And people know about soy. So, a lot of articles that came out. So, one of the things that, a lot of people anybody who's paleo, nobody's going to beat you. Don't worry. Don't worry. Calm down, vegans. Holster. All right. So, with soy, and there was a lot of articles that came out, and a lot of people vilified soy. But soy meal isn't like anything. If you eat meat, you're eating soy meal. You're eating soybeans. Matter of fact, you're eating more than an average vegan in the US. Also, it's shown, anybody look at the China study? Okay. Did you read the parts about soy? Okay, not really. Did you see the studies that have come out about soy? Recent studies, okay? All right, that talks about the things and how it's a bean like the other beans, except it's more powerful, okay? Of course, if it's infected by it being GMO, it's problematic. Just like your tomato, probably GMO, and that's problematic. Something GMO is problematic, right? So I did a lot of that, and I tend to go to the doctor more than other people, right? Very often. People like, somebody joke like, somebody glad. But anyway, for the fight game, right? So you always have to do blood work. Blood work is always have to be, you're bleeding on you know? Boxing, MMA, so the doctors, ask me, like, why are you at the doctor's office? Like, we went over this all the time. We go over this, the same thing. I always have to have, blood work up to date, and always have to get, complete blood work, right? So how everything is working, I need to go and see, different doctors to make sure that I'm optimal. So when I tell somebody something, that I've been eating soy for like 20 years, you know what I mean? It has to stand, it has to stick the landing. That I'm not just talking about something that I'm not experiencing because I read something, but I'm also partnering with research. Not an article. I'm going to the white pages and doing the research and looking at the exact study. So before I go any more on soy, I would say that people do that first. Know your body, okay? So very important to go ahead and do that because I was going to say something else, but then I don't want to sway everybody. Okay. Strong emotions. Eat soy. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, there's a lot more options. You can literally not have to eat soy, you know what I mean, and get all your protein. And you can do greens. People doing greens as fruitarians, just doing fruit. You know what I mean? Some veggies. So, what's going on? There we go. All right. So let's go head to head right now. I kind of like competition. I go right at them. I go right at them. Win or lose. Okay, I think this one you won. All right. So here we have, this is meat over here. This is meat. And I said, give me your best. Give me your best shot. Okay? Pound of raw meat. All right. Okay. So it's 1 piece cooked, excluding the refused yield from 1 pound raw meat. What does that mean? We took off the fat before we actually came up against the Nazis, okay? Champions over here. All right? Took off the fat. All right. So, and still, in the piece of meat, you're talking about 61 grams of fat. Do you know how much fat? Well, we won't go into that yet. But 61 grams. You can see it right there. I don't have to. 95%. Okay? That 1 pound. So it's 1 pound of raw meat, right? You know when you cook something down, meat down, what happens? It gets smaller, right? It shrinks. Okay? So still 95%. Of that 1 piece, you already had enough. You're done. If you keep eating, man, guess what's going to happen? All right. So saturated fat, 24 grams, 122. You shouldn't even eat that. Okay? All right. Cholesterol, 248 milligrams. There is no minimum because your body makes it. 200 milligrams is great, right? But 83%, over the daily value. Okay? All right. So, and then you have protein. So let's go into proteins. I made this yellow, right? Because some people, let me tell you when you need protein. You're a bodybuilder, power lifter. That's pretty much it. You're going from like, say, middle weight, right? And I'm going to like heavy weight. Then I might want to get more protein, okay? But if you're not, you don't need that much protein. Somebody needs to do a book about that. You just don't need that much protein, you know? All right, so, and then you have iron, 42%. So this is good, I was generous, 42%. All right, that's pretty good. All right, but protein, 64 grams. You know how much protein you should have? Anybody? Just kind of put it, yes. Okay, now that's a percentage of somebody's diet. You never know what the diet might be. But if I could be a little more accurate, it's 0.4 to 0.5% of every single pound of weight you have, okay? So every single pound of weight you have, right? So that needs to be 0.5 grams of protein. Make sense? That's how much you should have. If you're starting off and you just got one piece of meat, here, 64 grams, you're going to the bathroom way too much, okay? And a lot of this stuff is being converted into fats. Now, I had this discussion, I know this is going to be recorded. You're probably going to see this. It's going to be like, oh, can you do that? All right. So, just so you know what I'm talking about. So someone said to me, like, listen, well, that's not going to change into fat. Don't tell people that. Actually, it is. It's going to go into fat. Just like sugars and like carbs. You don't eat it. It sticks around. It's not all going into the toilet or into the ground. I just want to finish rhyming. And that protein is essentially going to turn into fat. Unused. Now, you can Google this, or you can go right into your library, which is better to find that out, because it's part of the same system. It's part of the same system, okay? When we finish eating foods, right? We're gonna go into that digestive process. It's gonna start going into the fat, and it's gonna be readily accessible. Thing about carbs, it would also go to fat faster, okay? But it's readily accessible energy. So if you're working out, you wanna make sure you have some food and you burn it up quickly. And it'll still keep, when you finish, and you go home and you start eating, it'll still keep burning. Make sure you should definitely understand that and know. But let's talk about lentils. So you just take lentils, you're taking a cup of lentils, right? There's no saturated fat, okay? You got 1 gram. Cholesterol, how much cholesterol on the vegan diet? 0, exactly. Nothing cholesterol in the ground. And does our body make cholesterol? Yes. Right, exactly. So we never need it. So people talk about fat. I ask people like, what do you do for fiber? What do you do for fiber? We're like, what? You gotta think about that for a while. 18 grams, okay? That's a sufficient amount, like 18 grams of fat, right? Because you might go get a bar, or something with a small bar, and it has like 20 grams, of protein. Here, you'll be able to have this, and you'll have this part of your meal. Put that on some grains or something, put some sweet potatoes, with it, do a stew, whatever you want, you do a soup, Matter of fact, I do lentil burgers, lentil burger, lentil patties. I mean, just having a great time, just whipping them up, And I said, wait a second, I'm frying these a lot. And I started baking them. I'm like, they bake too? So it's very versatile. Our food is very versatile. So I was like, And then iron. People talk about iron. There shouldn't be an iron deficiency. Not in a vegan diet. You just really have to get all the foods that you need. You really have to diversify, what you are eating. Very important. Let me do a time check. Okay, I'm good? So, people usually want to take this down. So, I'm going to put this up here. So, I fight with hypertension And it is hereditary. And so, but these are some of the things that really kind of stabilize it. Some of you may fight with hypertension as well, you know, but I've been off the drugs and I've still been able to fight because in every fight, right before you go into the fight, you see a doctor. Doesn't matter, you know, what part of the fight game you are, and they text you, and because they want to make sure that it's not too hot, and I've been able to fight, you know. So it's been working. Garlic has been huge for me, in bringing that down, and of course, you know, trying to stay with the sodium or balance it out with what? Potassium. Yes. And attack diabetes, because I know a lot of folks, you know, in my community, you know, in the diabetes, or have issues with diabetes. Why? You know, we buy so many things that are processed, that are readily accessible, or just advertised. They talk about vegans, you know, oh my goodness, oh. We're not in your face as much as McDonald's, you know? Can't be. You know, it's just the way how you're kind of seeing things, how it's cropped for you. You know, like it's candies, like Twix bars, like Snickers, you know what I mean? Like all these, you know, the same things, and just change a little bit of your, you know, your eating habits, you know. So why detox? So I detox, and I kind of want to, when I'm going for a fight, I basically want to start all the way over. And what I mean is, I want to take all the junk out, you know, and kind of start from scratch, and kind of build up that, you know, those amino acids, and that protein that I have, every energy, kind of just start from the beginning and really, you know, see what works. You know, have fun with that, you know, with your own bodies, and just, you know, kind of like start from scratch. And this is how you can detox safely, you know, without, you don't have to go to GNC, you know, some water, you know, some vegetables, some fruit. You could, you know, feel free to take this down. I also started, you know, giving that out so I can send it to people. If you get my information, I can also just send that to you really quickly, you know, because really at the end of the day, you know, it's about saving lives. And when you start saving your life, you realize that you're actually saving, you know, a lot of the planet and a lot of animals as well. You know, you realize that you really don't need to eat them, you know. And this is one of my powerhouse smoothies. I have so many, you know, different types of smoothies that I know would work well. And so you don't want to put too much protein in. And the thing about, you know, protein is really, you know, don't do the huge. I used to do that when I was bodybuilder. I was a team bodybuilder, right? So let's go back like 20 years. And the problem I had, I was throwing money away, you know. I can talk more about that, you know, ask me a question later on to get a card or something. It would take too long, but I was literally throwing money away because I didn't know how to actually utilize what Vitamin Shop and GNC had, you know, and I began to learn because I realized that I actually might have been lifting too much weight, you know, too often when I learned about, you know, different bodybuilders, and also I was eating, you know, or buying too much, you know, weight gainers to gain weight. No, you know, work out, eat, you know, chill, get a lot of rest. Rest is huge. So I did an article. As soon as I learned something, you know, and I feel like I've been using it for a while, you know, I want to write about it. I want to, you know, get it out there into the world. All right. But rest is huge, you know. So I call it SET, S-E-T, and sleep, eating, and training. In that order, sleeping is more important than the eating, and eating is more important than the training. You know, you have to rest your body. You know, there's so many bodybuilders a lot of times, all they do is eat, sleep, and then, you know what I mean, they would go ahead and work out. And this is cutting weight. There's a bunch of different ways in terms of people who want to cut weight, you know, safely. Apples are very helpful, lemon, lime. How many people know this already? You know, in terms of, you know, potency of, you know, apples. And apples have a lot of fiber. You know, lemon and lime, it's gonna cut a lot of that fat as well. You don't want to have it too acidic. You know, cabbage definitely helpful in terms of, you know, keeping some of those minerals. You don't want to lose all those minerals when you detox it. Very important. And like cilantro, it's a diuretic, so it's gonna have you go to the bathroom to help with that process. The one I don't have in here, which is, okay, that's the detoxing. Beets is also can be traded, but be careful with beets. People know why? I mean, huh? Sugar. Well, not so much of the sugar. I mean, it's better to have the fruit sugar than regular processed sugar. But yes, it is true that the body can start learning that the fruit sugar essentially is sugar, you know. So you want to be careful with that too. I mean, beets will really have you. It will really flush you out. You know, it's really good. Not necessarily a bad thing. So this is my last slide. I mean, you were ready to work out. You're ready to work out. Okay. All right. So these are my babies right here. This is Rain, of course. You know, this is Aziza. My son is over here. You just help, okay? You just help. So he's helping his sister. He's helping his big sister. He's to do sit-ups. You know, but he's also working out with dad. He's in the gym. You know. So anyway, how many of you guys are ready to work out? All right. Okay. So I'm going to need one volunteer who's going to learn how to box, and then we're going to need, you know, as many people that can actually fit here. You know, do some ab routines. So I'm going to give you some ab routines. Okay. So the ab routines I try to do maybe up to 5 minutes or 30 minutes. If you're doing 30 minutes, it's crazy. I'm going to tell you right now, it's crazy. You know what I mean? But the results definitely work. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, 30 minutes, when I say 30 minutes, I say 5 minutes or 30 minutes, it's consistent. You're going from one routine to the next routine, you do not stop. You do not stop. You're getting tired of doing one, which I have some that I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Why am I killing myself? I'll go ahead and you'll do crunches, or you might do, you know, legs up and down, just flip them. But the thing is to be consistent, to teach that body to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You don't need to do 30 minutes. Okay? So I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't need to do 30 minutes. 5 minutes is great. 5 minutes is great. What I'm doing is I want to harden, and so when I get hit, guys hit really hard. They're hitting the bag tens of thousands of times in that one day. I need to be prepared, you know, when somebody hits me. You know what I mean? And it might still hurt.
Probably we got about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay, that's perfect. All right, so come on up. And let's get the ab work out of the way and make sure we get the ab work. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Okay, so if I get, say, one person lying down here, and then another person, you know, 2 feet over, here, here. And we're just going to be all over the place. Oh, look, this stage. I don't use the stage. So you can use the stage. All right.
Let's have a round of applause for the people who
Good. Okay. All right. So the first one we're going to do leg raises, okay? So let's start a little simple. We go here. So you're lying flat. What I tend to do, and I've got this habit, I have to always look at who I'm training, so I keep my head up. But for you, you should always keep your head down, okay? Your head should be down on the back because it's going to strain your neck, okay? So down, here, and of course your heels don't touch the floor. All right, and so I have my timer, which I always have with me. I'm going to time you for 30 seconds. Keep it up and breathe, okay? So out when your legs are going down and in. And focus on the breathing. When you master that, you'll be able to do 30 minutes. 5 seconds. Focusing on that breathing. What have you doing it a lot easier with time. Great. Nice. Hand clap. Very good. Next one we'll do, knees to your chest and then out. So it looks like this. In, and then I bring them kind of low. But they just hover over the floor. They don't touch it. Okay? You ready? Let's start. Nice. Very good. And just focus on that breathing. You're going out. It's another one when you're going out, you're going to breathe out. You breathe in, you bring the knees to your chest and then out. Okay? So the first two we're doing, we're really working the lower abs. And those are the toughest parts right there. Those are the toughest parts. And time. Nice. Good. Two right there. I have a bunch of them. Those are the first ones. Okay? So that's going to get a little difficult for the lower abs right here. Okay? So now we're going to go here, right? So these are not the scissors. So the scissors are these. We're going to go here, alternating leg raise. They're not that bad, right? Very good. They really put that strain on your legs, right? Oh my goodness.
Does that do something different than the plain leg raises?
They work your legs at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you feel them, right? Right, you'll feel them in your quads, and you do them long enough, you'll feel them in your adductor as well, that's the inside. Time. You know, that happens so much. People start to say, hey, listen, look, are you looking at your watch? Okay, so the next one, we want to go ahead, we're going to stay here. Okay, down, and just real simple. Come over here. Okay, so this is, it's simple for some, it's might be difficult for others, okay? So at the very same time, I call this one the accordion, okay? So it's good. In and out. Well, sometimes you want to kind of alleviate. When I'm doing them myself, and for a very long time, I want to alleviate some muscles. So, for instance, let me concentrate on that time real quick. 5 seconds. And time. Okay, so it's a lot more, it's more difficult. And what you'll see right now, to actually bring your upper body to come up when you have your legs flat, okay? So actually we're gonna keep our legs flat, and we're just gonna come up with our torso, okay? All right, just come straight up. So one of the ways on how I help people in doing this, right, is to give them weights, because, you know, their momentum is gonna bring you up, right? So, sorry, you guys don't have weights.
If folks have further questions, just kind of raise your hand and I'll come around with a mic so that as we're working out here, we can kind of be chatting through like why this is beneficial, if you need some technique questions answered.
You okay with it? All right.
So yeah, I'm just gonna come around. Is that all right with you, Wale? If I just kind of,
yes, of course.
Okay, here's our first question.
So this is really gonna work your upper abs right here. Of course, the other part of your abs is gonna be worked as well towards your middle, okay? But really your upper abs. Okay, time. You'll notice that some of the workouts will be very similar, but they give you versatility. And the reason why they give you versatility, they might work out some other small muscles as well, but in addition, so you're not bored with a workout, okay? All right, so that's why a lot of fighters or different athletes kind of just have different variation because you're doing it on a regular situation, on a daily basis. Yes, you have a hand?
Yeah, on your previous slide, you had the weight cut, and as a fighter, you know, I know that's you go to your training camp and you've got to cut down to your 5 weight.
Yes.
As a vegan, which we don't have a whole lot of sampling from in the 5 world, how much do you cut versus somebody on a normal diet? Like, what's your walk weight, and then what's your 5 weight?
Very interesting. I'm different than a lot of fighters, and that a lot of fighters have been saying you should go down to 155, you know. So I'm at it depends on what fight game I'm part of. So if I'm doing boxing, then I want to be at 165, right? But I'm around 165 already. So they're saying, you know, you should go to 152. You go to 152, a lot of fighters usually go down with their weight. And I've been actually, before, if I'm not working out, I can sit around 155. So to cut 3 pounds is not a problem. It's very different for me. It's because when I use water is the key ingredient to losing weight. I can't emphasize that enough. And when you really have a sufficient amount, and you really kind of you really think it through, you're really focused on it, you'll be able to hit your target goal every single time. And of course, I mean, it'd be tough for me to try to do like 132. You know what I mean? Incredibly, you know, difficult to do that. But I generally don't have a problem with the cutting the weight. But a lot of fighters usually ask me, you know, what do I do? You know, what should I do right now? And a lot of times it's, you know, it might be too late. And so that's why we have fighters a lot of times, especially if they're fighting for money, you know, they get in these scenarios where they really have to cut like 15 pounds, you know, in a week. And that's dangerous, you know. You really don't want to cut more than a pound a day, you know, and that can be tough for the average person, but a fighter is not so difficult, you know. But trying to cut 2 pounds a day is tough. Like I'm able to drop, I can drop 2 pounds, 3 pounds, you know, just, you know, running, doing 10 miles, you know, and I can do that pretty consistently. You know, to my body is like, oh, you know, you're really weak. You shouldn't want to go down, you know, too much in weight because you're pulling on nutrients, you know, to kind of keep your body up if you're a certain height, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, especially if I'm trying to maintain a certain amount of muscle, you know, then my body's going to be in so much of whack. You really have to get in tune with your own body. That's why it's really tough for somebody to tell you exactly what I can look at somebody in terms of their body and they can tell me some things and I can get kind of close to them, but they'll be able to pinpoint exactly what they're doing, you know, how within 6 weeks.
Wale, we have a couple more questions. Do you want to continue working with people on the floor, or do you want to move?
Y'all still ready for more, right? And then I'll do the next question when I start with them.
All right, so we got a question right here, and I see 2 more questions in the center, so I know I've acknowledged you, so I'll be over.
As soon as you go back flat, come back up, okay? So you don't lay all the way down. So now we're trying to really get those obliques and really the sides, all right? So those are, in boxing, they really try to get to your liver. So you really got to work that out.
Do you want to take another question?
Yes, please.
All right, here you go.
Thank you. I know you said that you've been like eating soy for the last 10, 20 years now. There's a myth or a misconception which, at least I heard that soy breaks down differently in men versus women. Is it a myth, or I mean, what's your take on it?
Well, I'll say this. All right, time. I'll have y'all going over. I'm going to show you the next one, and then I'm going to answer that. Thank you for that question. So I do this one here, flat, and just like a pyramid, you keep it at the crown of your head. Hands clasped, up, down. Now, imagine having a weight here. See, a lot more difficult, but that your arms add more weight to it as well. Okay? Good. So don't come all the way up, just your head and your shoulders. All right. So to answer your question, I believe that's a huge myth because if you go in China right now, they're eating twice as much soy, yet they have nowhere near the prostate cancer rates. And you just look at that fact alone, but there's so much, and it goes into terms of in breast cancer. I'm gonna stop myself from saying that it actually addresses those issues, but I want you to go ahead and research that and check out these studies. And I would definitely email these studies. These are studies. These are not articles where somebody is, you know, feeling one way and then they're telling you about it. These are studies that people basically. All right, time. Sorry. Okay. You know. So we're gonna just do a classic sit-up, okay? So knees are gonna be up, and see if you come all the way up, okay? Come straight. Yeah, you can go right over here. Trying to hold on to your. If you're going to do that, you could just keep them on your ears.
All right, next question, or are you still working on the soy one?
Yeah, I mean, does that help?
Sure, yes.
I would definitely look more into that, but that is a great question. I mean, but that is the one parallel to really, you know, to read and understand is that why they don't have the prostate cancer issues. You know, and trying to eat twice as much. And some people said they don't eat that much. That's not true. That's just not true. It's definitely they're eating soy, you know? Okay, time.
All right, I got another question over here.
And let's go on a crunch. Now listen, it's very important to do a crunch right after that to really feel that intensity. Let's go right into the crunch. I know, I really want to work you now. These are just the ones that are on the ground in that position. We didn't go to plank yet. We don't have that much time. We didn't do plank. The standing ones, you hold. I mean, there's just so much. You can just sit up. I mean, we're still on the ground. Yeah, I'm ready for the next question.
So in terms of performance, since you've changed from a vegetarian diet to a vegan diet, have you noticed much difference in the way that your body responds to it and how you're performing at all? Has there been much of a difference?
Excellent question. The best thing I've noticed was that I can fight colds a lot better. A lot easier, right? She's like, yeah, that's what I want to hear. It's crazy. It was like, wow, dairy was making me sick. You know?
Allergies too.
Allergies.
You're gonna stop the dairy.
I don't have, I mean, I don't want to say I don't have any allergies, but I can't think of any allergies I do have. How about that for an honest answer? Like, I don't know allergies like folks are having, you know? Something might be a discomfort, you know? I mean, like my tissue, but I mean, I used to have like allergies crazy, you know, in the spring. I was like, and I was vegetarian, you know, for most of my life. Came vegan. Sorry, you guys been doing it for a minute. Nice. Some of you were just like, I know 30 seconds are up. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're gonna go into a plank position, okay? All right, so we're gonna get a little tough right now. Y'all ready? Y'all okay with that? It's like, let me see what tough is first. Okay, so we're gonna do a mountain climbing. Some of you have done mountain climbers, right? So we can go here. Boom. You can go as fast as you want to. We're gonna do that for 20 seconds. It's a little tougher, a little more intense. Okay, so did I answer your question? That's the main thing that I've noticed. I felt like as I ate better, I'm also able to kind of hop out of the bed and be ready to go.
All right, Wale, we've got time for one more question. We're gonna wrap up this routine.
Time is.
So you just let me know when you're ready. The guy's got the mic.
Okay. Yes, I'm ready. Next question.
Yes, sir. I just want to say thanks again for answering my questions and other people's questions as well. But my question to you is, sir, recently I just transitioned to a vegan diet, but my problem seems that to me now is, it seems like I gained more weight than I actually have. I'm trying to figure out why is that?
Well, what are you eating? What do you feel like you took meat out of your diet? What did you replace it with?
Mostly soy, a lot of carbs. I think I probably eat more. I'm guessing. Maybe.
Spot. How often do you work out?
Right now,
Time.
not as much as I should. Probably average once or twice a week, but not like I've been doing before because of school, that situation.
If you're eating a lot of carbs, people who eat a lot of carbs are usually trying to replace, a lot of the, maybe, meat that they were eating before, something more familiar, or maybe sometimes, is it veg, or is it like pizzas and stuff?
No, it's not pizza.
Okay, it's vegan,
Yeah.
but it's like a lot of grains. So I love carbs, but I'm always gonna be, shoot straightforward, is that, carbs really is gonna give you energy. If you're not working out, problem is, it's not gonna be utilized to the best of its ability, okay? It is gonna go into fat and sugar and be readily accessible for energy quicker than protein, just because it breaks down faster than protein, right? So be very careful. What I would say, if you're trying to fill yourself up, more bean meals. Like I brought up like reason why I bring up bean burgers, because it's so easy to make and you're more familiar with it. You know, now, I mean, I can tell you some of them. I mean, I don't even want to play around giving you recipes off top. People always ask me for recipes, and what's the problem with that? I don't write them down. I'm in the kitchen, I'm like, okay, I know with this, let me take a little bit of this, put that together, and boom. But when I tell you it's so easy and so simple after you finish boiling beans, and you put them together, and you want to get an emulsifier, I mean, you can use a little bit, you can use banana, you can use applesauce, you can use chia seeds, what am I missing? Come on. You can use flax seeds, hemp seeds, I mean, look at all these emulsifiers that basically replace eggs. You know, you don't need eggs, so you can use that to kind of keep everything together, you know, and then just play around with it. You know, I mean, I do that, and I'm good. I'm really good with like those bean burgers. You can also do, you know, you do rice burgers as well, rice patties. You know, so do different things that, and I would use like Freekeh is going to have more protein than it's going to have in terms of the carbs. So really research that as well, and the ratio is going to be a lot better when you using Freekeh to rice grains. Now I didn't research all of them in terms of comparing them, but I would definitely look at Freekeh. The only thing with Freekeh now is, of course, it's more expensive than the other grains.
All right, I think we're at time. Will everybody give a round of applause for our volunteers and for Omowale?
Thank you very much.